Welcome in. Welcome in. This is the Second Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's FedEx St. Jude Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Mark Immelman is here. And Mark, I finally get why you hate playoffs.
I was thinking about you. First off, my boy, bravo. I was watching you guys on ESPN Bet this morning, early before church. And then because I was bedridden, I watched church on television. And then I came back to you. And you did a tremendous job. And I was just so impressed that you could stand there with your perfect coif and everything, and your shirt that probably would show sweat in the Memphis heat. And you looked as cool as a cucumber. It was thoroughly professional, your performance, man. Well done.
Well, I very much appreciate it. We had a lot of fun. I got to do fun stuff that, I never got to do before. I got to wear the headset at times. I was walking on the 14th green in the middle of the round doing hits today. So it was a very cool experience.
I saw that 14th green bit, and I came in on the tail end of it. And this guy's like, I don't know, maybe I misheard, but he goes, they're going to make birdies here. And then you quickly put him in his place and go, you're a nutcase, man. And I love the way you say, look, this is just daunting. It looks difficult from down here in the bunker and on the green and there's slopes and stuff. And then if you go 190 yards up the hill, it looks like it's the size of a thimble. So very, very well done for bringing some reality to some of these betting people that just look at the form sheets all of the time.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was about as difficult as it gets over there on 14 this week, and yeah, particularly today with that pin location. But my what a week! This was, I don't even know where to start. We had a variety of storylines. We had Tommy Fleetwood in the mix trying to get the job done again. We had Scotty Scheffler lurking. But before we get to the eventual playoff, I want to give a shout out to our winner from last week, Mark. This is Cam Young, who shot the round of the day, a 6 under 64, flies up 16 spots on the leaderboard and ends up finishing in a solo 5th place. And there was, when a guy wins, especially wins the first golf tournament, maybe the biggest golf tournament of their lives, there's always a question about what that motivation and what that energy level is going to be for next week. Well, I will say this, questions answered for Cam Young.
Yeah, I got lots of thoughts here. First off, I'm so glad he's going to the draw because his golf swing naturally does that. And it's a movement on the PGA Tour, and in fact in college, and with all these high-speed golfers, they feel like they have to fade the golf ball. But for Cam Young, he just does the draw very well. He shapes it naturally. And so sticking to this, I'm like, bravo, man. That's a stroke of genius. I'm glad he's putting well. Yes, kudos for getting up under some torrid conditions because it's not easy to play at Southwind for 4 or 5 days after you've come off a win. I mean, it's mentally and physically exhausting, that place, the conditions that is. But then I have to say this, the way he's playing right now, a few weeks ago, Keegan Bradley's job was very easy, basically, in terms of picking who his next 6 were going to be. Now, all of a sudden, with Young playing well and Novak shows up this week and Brian Harman flashes a little form and Keegan's not so great, all of a sudden, Keegan's job is a whole lot more difficult. Suffice to say, though, if this guy, Cameron Young, keeps driving it the way he is and keeps putting it the way he is, he will be a force of nature at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, he was really, really good this week. He shot a 71 on Saturday, but the 3 rounds outside of that were awesome. And of course, the round of the day 64 that you're seeing on YouTube right now was with 2 bogeys on the card. So could have even been lower than that. Another solid finish for Cam. And he was really the guy at the drop off of this leaderboard. 2 guys at 16 under par for a playoff, 2 guys at 15 under par, and then Cam Young by himself in that 11 under spot. So 4-shot gap between 5th and the 2 men in a tie for 3rd, which, Mark, the way this day developed, the final 2 groups, which were Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, JJ Spaun, Scotty Scheffler, they separated themselves. The lead was handed back and forth like hot potato all day long. And those are the 4 that really determined the outcome of this event.
Yeah, and more often than not at this golf course, you'll see like this lead pack jump away from the peloton. And to me, the reason being is that just the golf course is hard. And if you have to start forcing the issue a little bit, and you get on the wrong side of some of these hole locations, or if you're playing from the rougher bunch because you're playing overly offensive, you are going to make yourself a number of mistakes. And then water is sneaky around this place. It comes into play, rarely comes into play on the par five, the third, the fourth, the par three. Then you go a little further along 9, and then you have water on 11 and 12. Man, all you see is water off the tee. And then 14 is the same thing, and 15, and then of course 18. So it's not the kind of course that you can chase. And when I was watching the early coverage, some of yours and some of ESPN Plus PGA Tour Lives, a point was made, and I think it might have been Matt Every, which was surprising. It was so insightful from Every. Anyhow, I joke, Matt, um, where Matt goes, ordinarily these folks that we're trying to bet on right now, because they're betting about hitting the green in regulation on number 4, for argument's sake. He goes, usually these guys are at home already, and so they're not playing their best golf. And these greens are firm, and you've got to bring stuff, you got to be playing well. So it's hard. He goes, it's really hard to bet on these folks because you think, well, they should, but really they're not at that on during this week now. Then they're having to finish out this 4-round tournament. And so you'll see the field split almost like into a 2/3 and a third. And once again, it was the same case. But that to me is all the golf course and how it doesn't allow you to just make rash and stupid attacking moves.
No, it really doesn't, and it does start to separate those mistakes pretty quickly. There's doubles lurking everywhere out there. So the guy who made the least noise out of the big four is probably going to be surprising because it was Scotty Scheffler who carded a final round 67 after making an early birdie on number 3, getting up and down from greenside. He would give that back at 5, but he would turn Mark in 1 under. He had his opportunities late. The bogey that he made on 15, it was probably the turning point of this event. He hit the tree off the tee. I think his drive only went 180 yards. He actually hit a pretty decent shot to get it over the green in 2, but he was unable to get up and down from there after missing a 6-footer for par. That was really the turning point, and it felt like it was slipping away from him because the other guys in this big four started to separate. Scotty would go on to make 2 birdies late and finish just 1 shot out of the playoff, but it did not feel like he was ever in it when this thing was actually happening.
It's strange you say that because, now I'm not on the course, so now I'm sitting in bed this morning just with 24/7 golf coverage on, and I'm on my phone. I was like sensory overload. And I was getting, at one stage, I sort of smiled to myself because Scotty was over a birdie putt somewhere. And I'm like, he's going to knock this in. And he did. And I'm like, this guy truly is becoming like Tiger right now, because I remember when Tiger was at the heights of his powers, you knew he was coming. It wasn't like Tiger was going to disappear. And you almost, and whereas Tiger played a little bit more wild, perhaps, than Scotty does, it never looks to me like Scotty's going to make a bogey. Like, I was flabbergasted at the tee shot he hit down the 14th there. And then he hit a really weak putt up the hill, something reminiscent of a few seasons ago. But I was almost surprised at that bogey. But then in typical Scotty fashion, he bounces right back with 2 birdies in the next 3 holes. Mm-hmm. In fact, the bogey on the front on 5, which 5 is a par 4.5, let's be honest. It's a 5 hard for the members. He bogeys 5, which most folks do after a poor tee shot. And then he bounces back with a birdie on 7, which is really hard. So I'm keen at your observation there, but because I looked at him, I'm like, this guy just seems like he's always coming. And if you want to beat him, you've almost got to play flawless golf.
Well, I think, and you're right. And it felt like he was hanging, but I think because he was playing with JJ and JJ was basically a shot ahead of him at all times and posting at the same time, that there was never a point when Scotty was ahead of JJ and getting into a potential playoff or winning this in regulation. So I think that's what I mean when I say, like, he just felt one step behind.
Yeah, I hear you. And look, you have to commend JJ because I've got this group chat with my on-course guys for CBS. And at one stage, I'm watching this guy drive it, and it's like on rinse and repeat. And my observation, because one of the more reliable drivers of the ball on the PGA Tour to me is Sepp Straka. The guy never misses the center stripe of the fairway. And I text him, I'm like, JJ is like a bearded Sepp Straka. And that elicited some laughter. And they're like, yeah, I guess you're right. Because every ball he was over was like down the fairway, down the right distance. It was so reliable. And he really looked the part. And I know I don't, I'm sorry to have made you pivot, but if you're a US fan, if JJ plays like this in late September, he'll be a strong man for the US as well.
Yeah, his resume is building very, very quickly. We'll get to that in just a moment. Worth noting, though, Mark, Scottie Scheffler without Ted Scott on the bag. Ted had a personal matter, a family matter that he left for, and Brad Payne filled in. If that name sounds familiar, it's the same caddy that filled in for Ted at the PGA Championship at Valhalla. I believe it was the day after Scottie got arrested. Ted went home for, I think, a graduation, maybe his daughter's graduation or something like that. So we don't know what it is, but obviously wishing Ted Scott and his family all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say this because Ted's a friend. There are two camps on the PGA Tour as it regards to caddies. There's they just need to carry the bag and shut up. Show up, keep up, shut up. That's the rule. And then there's the other folks, like the caddies are indispensable. It's clear that Ted Scott has a really positive influence on Scottie Scheffler. Now, maybe today it will look like Scottie was doing fine by himself with Brad on the bag, but you could see his rhythm was interrupted. The flow of the rounds, like when he gets to a ball, he has to pace off a yardage to double check. That changes one's focus a little bit. And I'm sure Scottie won't admit that it affected him some, but you could just see he was playing the game at a different rhythm. And rhythm and momentum is a really big thing in competitive golf at this level.
Another week, another top 10 for Scottie Scheffler, another podium, in fact, a T3, but not a trophy here this week in Memphis. Unfortunately, it's the time I have to talk about Tommy Fleetwood because he did not get himself into this playoff. Tommy Fleetwood entered the day at 14 under par. He was our 54-hole leader mark, and this was shaky out of the gates. A bogey on number one, which included a kind of shortish missed putt there. And then he followed that up with 10 straight pars. Out of the gate, let's start there before we get to some of the good stuff for Tommy. What did you observe from Fleetwood as yet again, here we are in the mix on a Sunday, trying to turn that 0 PGA Tour wins into a number one?
I saw a guy that was naturally nervous, but that doesn't mean that everyone else isn't nervous. You see, there is a chaser's freedom. We've talked about this before. And if you have the lead, especially if you haven't won a lot, well, Scottie's won a lot on a different tour, but he admitted as such in his pre-round comments. He goes, I can't just go out there and drop the anchor because there's a number of good players. No, it wasn't him. It was Justin Rose saying, you can't just drop the anchor. Everyone's coming for you on the PGA Tour. So you have to play offense when you need, and you have to play defense when you have to. And I saw a nervy Tommy Fleetwood who looked like he was in the mindset to not make a big error. Like if the trouble was down the right, he missed it big left. If trouble was down the left, he'd miss it big right. So he was overly defensive and almost trying not to make mistakes. And he did really well, in my opinion, to scramble out some really good saves because he was holding 4 and 5 footers all the front side over there to stay relevant. So he put undue stress on himself. So that's what I saw early. It was natural nerves and then someone just trying not to screw it up, if that makes sense. And that's such a tough road to hoe because you got to get up there and pick a defensive or smart target, but then you got to swing with conviction. I saw his swing to me looked a little defensive initially, and that's why you saw the weak right miss and then a body stall flick over draw once in a while. So you had this two-sided weakish thing going on.
Out in 31, and I'll tell you what, this Memphis crowd was doing its best to lift Tommy Fleetwood. He got I would describe it as an ovation, walking down the 9th fairway, trying to summon something out of Tommy to get him back into this golf tournament. He would hit a pretty good shot. He had to hit a punch shot up onto the green. He'd end up making par there, and that's when Justin Rose hit it into the water again on 9. And then Tommy gets a little bit of momentum here. He birdies 12, the place goes nuts. He birdies 13, the place goes insane. He is down in the corner on 15 from 102 yards out, sticks it to 6 feet, makes the putt, and this place has gone berserk. Tommy Fleetwood is 2 under through the round, for the round. He's got a lead, and he's going to the par 5 16th, which is a very gettable hole. Now, this stretch, Mark, looked like we were on the verge of Tommy Fleetwood breaking through.
Yeah, I want to back up just a little bit because he's the walk from 9 green to 10 tee is past the clubhouse. It's a good ways. Some of the players' walks, there are shuttles if you need. It's probably about 200 yards or so. And there's time to collect yourself. And the tee shot down 10, folks, is not easy. You got Oscar Bravo down the right-hand side in houses, OB. And then down the left, there's trees in the fairway, pinches and then turns behind the trees. And he gets up there and just fizzes one down the middle. And it's a beautiful iron shot that he turns in there. And I'm like, 2 really good swings. And there was another solid one on the par 3 11th. And then 12's not the easiest tee shot in the world. Down the fairway cutting. It's a poor wedge, but makes that first putt that you referenced. But I felt like the tee shot and the second down 10 had turned his tide a little bit. Then he makes a couple birdies and you could see some momentum. Then that par save from 10 feet or so on 14? Mm-hmm. That was when I was like, yo, look who's come to play. That was the Tommy Fleetwood from the Ryder Cup in Paris, where he made everything. He stood over playing next to Francesco Molinari, and they were unbeaten. They went 5-0 that week. Because this is who Tommy Fleetwood is. And I was like, maybe the seal's broken. And then, of course, he sticks the wedge in there tight, converts. And I'm like, yeah, we go. And then that drive, he hit down the par 5 16th. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest hole on the course, but it is no gift. It's an uphill tee shot. There's trees on both sides. It's not that wide. And he just splits the middle with a tee shot. And then I thought the iron shot was missed where it needed to be missed. I thought he had too much club personally, anyway, because there's adrenaline going on. And then the pitch shot, I was like, oh gosh, but he made he pitches it over the green, but he made the 5, all right. And then when I felt so good after the tee shot in the second on 10 and the birdie on 15, all of a sudden with that pitch shot over the green, even though he limped that par putt in, I'm like, oh no, because 17 and 18 are a handful and you can't stumble your way in. And he kind of did, sadly.
Your observation of kind of his body language, this is where I want to reiterate that, because we were with this group the whole way. Mm-hmm. And so Tommy hits his second into the not up against the grandstand. He gets relief, so he's got plenty of green to work with, and he chips it over the green, opts to putt it back on, and then yes, he gets the 5 or 6 foot or whatever it was to die into the cup for 5. His shoulders, Mark, looked like they were in his ears. As the round went on, his shoulders continued to get higher and higher and higher. He looked like the Hunchback of Notre Dame by the time he stepped on the 17th tee. You could see it in his face and his body language the entire day.
Yeah, look, this is not a pile-on by me, but this is why when you're playing in this situation now, and there are 4 or 5, 6 holes, 9 holes, whatever it is, in a tournament, or late Friday afternoon, that's where statistics go out the freaking window, man. You feel different. Your mind's racing. You're trying to pull it back. You're trying to do all the right thing. Then you're like, then you're trying to focus, and there's just so much going on, and things start going fast. And the problem is with Tommy, he's naturally curved across his back like this, and when stuff starts going wrong, it gets even worse. Mm-hmm. And then you can see as soon as he's hit a shot, it's like it's not just that the shoulders are up, he drops his head, and you saw that right away. And when he walked off 16 green, I noticed the same thing. And then I'm like, man, you got to be up for the 17th tee shot because it's not easy. And then the 18's no picnic either. So, yeah, look, I threw up in my mouth a little bit at the end of all of this because it was terrible to watch.
Yeah, a really ugly 5-footer on 17 that he misses for par. He puts a bogey on the scorecard there. He cannot make birdie on 18, and here we are. JJ Spawn has already posted 16 under. Tommy Fleetwood posts 15 under. That's it. He's doing another loser's interview.
Yeah, there's a question here from Tom that I want to respond to, if that's okay, real fast.
Yes, please.
And the question is, what happened to the chip on 16? The issue there, Tom, is if you looked, they've got this new zoysia grass in the fairways, but around some of the green surrounds, they've still got Bermuda. And Bermuda is just not easy to pitch off. In fact, if you looked at his pitch shot on 18, if you were watching closely, when he made practice swings, you'll see little granules of sand dust up because they've capped the fairways with sand. So making really crisp contact is really hard. And then you got this shot, you kind of in this Bermuda rough-ish, the ball's down there a little bit, you're playing up the hill, it's into the grain and the slope, you know you got to hit it some, and then you just drop kick that thing by a whisker, and it doesn't get any spin on it, and it gets on there and tumbles over, and the next thing it's gone. So it was sort of partially underfoot conditions, partially pressure, partially the situation, and then just a little bit of a mishit, and it turned rough.
So while all of this is happening, JJ Spaun and Justin Rose are making their moves, as you can probably have figured out at this point. They're the two that are going to be in our playoff. Let's start with JJ Spaun. He was in the penultimate group. He turns in 32, Mark. That is 3 under par, and he is able to keep Scotty Scheffler at arm's reach. He's able to apply pressure to Tommy Fleetwood, and he's able to post the first 16 under thanks to birdies at both 16 and 17. JJ Spaun looking for a little bit of, I don't want to say playoff redemption coming up, but he has had a great year and he's looking to extend it.
Tyler Strong, I'm going to give him a credit for this nugget. The playoff was between the two guys that Rory McIlroy beat in 2 tournaments this year, which was pretty cool. Between J Rose and JJ Spaun.
Good call.
Now, this is where I would like to know the statistics, Rick, because as I watched this guy today, man, he looked so good. And then as I back up a little bit, he then admits, he goes, my confidence was like 2 out of 10 because I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn coming into Friday. Then on Friday evening, find something on the range and just really flushes over the weekend. And I was just struck. Every shot he stood over, he got up there, undue delay, picked a shot, hit this hard cut down there, right distance every single time. And then he made the putts he needed to. And you could see there was attack and defend and attack and defend. But most importantly, not for 1 minute playing alongside Scheffler did he look like he was overawed at all.
Never.
It was JJ actually looked like he was in command of the whole thing. And that to me was like, whoa, JJ Spawn's entered the chat because he's for real now. I mean, the way he played today was really impressive.
So it was funny. So I was right there on number 1 with that group. JJ, Scotty Scheffler does exactly what he always does on one, fairway to 12 feet, and JJ Spaun kind of hits a kind of a little wonky drive. He misses it just off the right side of the green, gets to go first, and he chips it in. Mm-hmm. And there was this sly little I got away with one, and I'm not, and now I'm ready. I'm not letting this go. And he was stoic just the rest of the way. You're right. He never, it doesn't look like he's just along for the ride. It looks like he's going to be part of the story.
You know what it looks like too? If you've been at the bottom of the barrel or in the doldrums, it's not that crappy down there, that you've survived it. And he's been through the doldrums of his career. I mean, he went back to the Corn Ferry Tour for a bit. He was considering packing it in at one stage. And so he knows, yeah, shucks, if I play badly, I'm going to be okay now. So now I'm playing well. I may as well just go for it and believe in myself and believe in what I'm doing. And he's got a really sharp caddy in Mark Cairns on the bag who keeps it light a little bit with him. JJ has found that thing that 90% of the folks in professional golf are looking for. And the problem with that thing is you cannot quantify it. It's a feeling in yourself. It's being okay with hitting a bad shot and knowing you can recover on the next one. It's being okay with missing the cut because you're going to be all right. There's another tournament coming up. That's where he is, and it looks like he's playing with that freedom. And freedom in a golf swing is a beautiful thing.
A career year and not done just yet. Justin Rose stood on the 14th tee, and he was 30-1. 30-1 to win the FedEx St. Jude standing on the 14th tee. There were two
money. Did you know money then?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me who got there. There were 2 birdies made. We talked about how hard 14 was playing today. Talked about it before the round. Talked about it as we came on here. There were 2 birdies made on 14 today. Justin Rose was one of them. He rolled it in from 15 feet, 1 inch. He then
Can we talk about how he got to 15 feet away to that hole location first?
Sure.
And I'm going to let you do it because you were there on the hole. You got to describe the thing in the morning.
Yeah. So to me, there's only one way to get there, and that is to kind of like the area that you have to get that ball to collect in, Mark, is very, very small.
30 feet across.
Max. Yeah, 30 feet across. Anything tilted, everything runs towards the water, then off the back. So he has to work this little, baby cut in there to get it to land soft, have the right spin on it. Those greens have been firm all week long. I don't care about the deluge that we had on Friday night. And he pulls it off. 15 feet is probably the best shot you could have hit. Like, you hit it to 15 feet, you give yourself a chance.
And I'll add to that too. When you stand up there on the tee, and the problem is that you are a good 9 yards above the green. So that's about a half a club for these guys, to a club. And so the ball spends more time in the air. So if there's wind, it gets affected. And as you look down at the green, it takes on the shape of like a kidney that goes from like front right to back right. And the water that's on the right side of the green cuts into the green a little bit. And where the hole was cut way back in the green, you're essentially playing over the corner of the water if you want to go after this flag, but it's not a guaranteed cover. It's not like you've got 190 to cover because it's an angled target like this. So each shot you block, the carry is longer to cover the water. And he slid this fade shot in there with a 6-iron. Everyone else was doing 7-iron. He slides this fade down the middle of the green, and I was like, man, that is masterclass. Because he kept the thing down. You could see the fade shot. It started exactly where he was looking. Hit check, released over the slope in there, and I was like, yes, that is like a 1 in 50 shot that he pulled off.
Well, he was just getting started, Mark, because it was a birdie on 14, a birdie on 15, a birdie on 16, a birdie on 17, 4 in a row. He flies up the leaderboard. He's got a chance for 5 in a row to win this thing in regulation. And on 18, he hits it to 13 feet, 3 inches. And that's about the only thing he didn't get to drop on Sunday. He misses it, gives it the classic hand over mouth. That's what Rosie does when he misses one. What does he do when he makes one? Fist up, look over his shoulder. That's what he does when he makes one. And
sometimes he points at people that have been heckling him. He'll point straight at them.
Yeah, that's right. Those are his 2 celebrations. He makes the par on 18 and sends us into a sudden death playoff with JJ Spawn. Rosie is feeling it right now.
He was. And then you could see, look, I commend the both of them for sticking to their game plans, because 18 is like a 440 par 4, turns around water. I don't have my yardage book from previous years, but if you take on the water down the left-hand side, it's probably 310 over the top of it. And the bunkers through the fairway at about the 330, 320 range, and the angle towards you. And it's easy just to send something down the right-hand side with that will go no more than 290. And then have yourself about 170-yard shot, which is what JJ did. Where Justin Rose stood up there in regulation, drove it, pulled it, but drove it over the water. And then in the playoffs, got up there exactly the same thing and blitzed driver every single time. And I use that term freedom. Now, yes, you could argue that he was sticking to the game plan. But in a playoff, you only have to hit one person, beat one person, or 2 if there's 2 in the playoff, 3. And the first playoff hole, JJ's fizzed one off down the right-hand side. It wasn't that great. Rose gets up there and still blasts driver. And I was like, man, that's big stuff over there to stick to the game plan and do that. And I was like, whoa, he is nails, man. And he's been like that his entire career. But remember the doldrums thing I talked about? Remember, Justin was the kid at age 17 that missed 20-something cuts in a row and came back from that stuff. And so, man, he's 45 years young, and he's got this red light therapy and cold plunging and sauna and all the stuff he's doing. He is like 45 years young. Yeah, he looks like he's getting younger when he's playing golf right now.
That first playoff hole, he has to hit one from just on the red line in the water, hits a good shot there, but can't convert. They both make birdie on the second playoff hole. Then they cut a new hole, Mark. They cut a new hole. This is a new thing they've started to do. Instead of making everybody move to a different hole, you just cut a new pin location where everybody's at. Do you like that?
I don't know where I am on that. I mean, I talked with Gary Young, the rules official, about it in Canada. Because remember, Canada, we went on for like 4 or 5 holes or something.
Mm-hmm.
They kept cutting a hole on every whole time they played the hole. And I was like, Gary, I don't know so much about this. And he said, honestly, all the data they have show that you'll get a result quicker as soon as you change the hole location, because they kind of know where they're going. And if you just change a little something, it upsets the professional apple cart. And lo and behold, it rang true again because they changed the hole and you got a result.
Yeah, you know where they put it? They put it exactly where JJ Spawn had been hitting it on the first 2 playoff holes, and he did it again. Spawn stuffed one to 7 feet 3 inches. Rose was 11 feet 6, but it felt very much match play because Rosie was first in to win. He makes his birdie, applies the pressure to JJ Spawn from 7 feet 3 inches. He yanks it a little bit left, and Justin Rose is your victor at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Unbelievable playoff. Unbelievable winner.
It truly was. And isn't it crazy? And that's that you say match player, that's correct there. Because there's always a rule. First in is going to win. And Justin hold that curling left to right of there down the hill from about 12 feet. And JJ was, 2/3 of the distance and didn't even touch the hole.
Yeah.
And that's just the I've got to make to top thing. And credit to Justin Rose, because in the playoff, when JJ made the birdie to the first one, when he ripped that bomb into the hole, where Justin knocked in the 10-footer or whatever to top, that there was that was big boy stuff. That was kind of like Nick Taylor making the downhill sweeping 10-footer to get into the playoff with Fleetwood, and then to continue, and then to make the 70-something footer on the next time around to win. It's a big deal to get in first. It really is, and watch for that in the Ryder Cup.
Justin Rose. Yes, I did. So so LVL asked, Rick, did you win on golf bet after day 3? You were in the lead. So Mark, I don't know if you heard this on the telecast. They gave us, so there was 4 of us in this little golf bet competition for this week. We had to make a certain number of bets every single day. I am happy to announce that I not only led after each day, but I won the entire competition. And I now get an all-expense-paid trip to play TPC Sawgrass.
Wow, very cool. Do you get to take a guest? I'm available.
Yeah, I'm taking applications. Let me tell you, my phone is blowing up on people who want to be my +1.
Okay, yes, Mara. Yes, what I have to say. I'm not surprised that you won with those other clowns around there. Come on, man. You're like the best, the most insightful guy on the block when it comes to this stuff. You're about the only one I'll listen to.
I appreciate it.
I texted Dillette and company. I'm like, hey, boys, you're entertaining, but I would not make any of these bets that you clowns are advising right now. Dillette texts me back. He goes, I wouldn't lay my bets either. But anyhow, here we are.
I love it. I love it. Very cool. So, yes, thanks, LVL. I did get the job done. Justin Rose, that 17-year-old kid who missed 20-some-odd missed cuts, has ascended to a #1 player in the world, and now 12 PGA Tour victories, his first since the 2023 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Mark, you nailed it. He's getting older. Doesn't feel like it. He's playing some of the best golf of his life right now.
Yeah, I see Mina is lobbying for a trip down to Ponte.
Yeah, she certainly is. She's like, oh, Jacksonville Beach. Let me see what else is going on there down there.
And Mina, there's some good spots around there. Really nice coffee shops. Yeah. To Justin, look, he's a Hall of Famer. And it's the same thing with Adam Scott, and even to a certain extent Sergio Garcia, because you got this crop of players, like I think of my brother Trevor and Luke Donald and Justin Rose and Adam and Sergio. They were the crop that sort of came out together, right? And Luke has sort of passed his best, but now he's a legendary Ryder Cup captain. Trevor's passed his best, but he's a really good announcer and analyst. Yet you still have Adam working hard. Adam's gotten faster with his golf swing speed, and he's still relevant. Sergio is still playing well. And yes, Justin Rose is the same thing. So these guys in their mid to late 40s, I commend them at what it takes to stay at the top. Because these kids are young, they're fast, they're athletic, they recover quicker. And it takes a whole lot longer for someone when you start to get to your late 40s to warm up or just to recover in that stuff. And they're working hard, these old boys, and kudos to them. It's exciting to see them still beat the kiddos again.
It really is. You know, there was a time, I guess it was two Ryder Cups ago. So not Rome, so not 23, but 21. And I was thinking, man, this is,
he was done. He was
yeah, this is it for Rose. This is it for a lot of those guys. They're going to have a hell of a time turning this over. They're aging out, and they immediately retooled with Victor and Ludwig and the Højgaards and all that stuff. And now Rosie's going to be on the team again.
But Justin got a pick from Luke Donald to go to Rome, and you were there. And how clutch was that guy? Think about it, right?
Yeah.
And then since then, it's like he's gone, I can do this. I get goosebumps because it's that exciting. And here he is. I made the comment on HQ because you were there for 4 or 5 days in Memphis on the ground. Mm-hmm. It's oppressive with that heat, walking around that golf course.
Mm-hmm. And Mark, it is a massive golf course. From
one side to the other, I know.
15 green to 3 green or whatever is like 3 miles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And so you walk in this place, it's hot, it's humid, it's hilly in spots, right? And these guys are hitting golf balls on top of all of that. And here's the guy was he the oldest in the field? Yeah, he wasn't he?
If not, he had to be the second oldest.
Well, let's just say he's one of the oldest statesmen. Yeah. You would think when you start to get to like the 63rd hole, the old legs would be kind of failing a bit. Justin looked like he got stronger as the tape got closer, despite the fact that he was 45 years old. I have bucket loads of admiration for that because I know what it feels like at 54. It's not easy.
Yeah, he's been awesome. I'm I'm obviously upset for Tommy. It stinks. JJ Spawn is about, in an alternate universe, we're like 2 golf swings away from JJ Spawn being the US Open champion, the Players champion, and now winning the FedEx St. Jude, because those last 2 he lost in a playoff.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Imagine at the beginning of the year, if one of us, when we did a preview, would have said, hey, JJ Spawn's going to be the second guy on the US Ryder Cup team rankings list. You would have thought I'd lost my mind. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we are.
You would have been laughed off the podcast.
Yeah. And it's not just like he is the number 2 guy in the rankings because he's going to be tomorrow morning. He's playing like it as well. I'd pick him over JT. I'd pick him over Morikawa. Every single one of them. The way he was playing this afternoon was seriously impressive.
He's been great. So like you said, JJ Spawn, he had already locked up that Ryder Cup spot. He's going to cement it even more. Cam Young is playing himself into putting Keegan Bradley into a bit of a pickle. I'm sure we'll talk about that more as we get closer. But Mark, hit me.
I'm going to say this too, because if you're a big dog on the team, you kind of get your say with the captains on who you want to play with. I guarantee you, Keegan's calling him up and going, okay, who do you want to play alongside? Because you're one of my guns, and I want to make sure you're happy. That is the place that JJ Spawn has elevated himself to, and good on him because he's done all the work. He deserves it.
Yeah, he does deserve it. Hat tip to both of those guys in the playoff. Anything else from Memphis that we need to mention before I reveal our grid from the week?
I got to say this. For some reason, Memphis and Atlanta both get a really bad rap when it comes to the playoffs. And maybe I might be on my Sunday soapbox a little bit, but TPC Southwind is a good golf course, and you cannot fake it around there. And it's the same thing with Eastlake. Now, I understand it's hot and humid and it's not fun to play in the summer, but they are 2 really good venues that produce really exciting tournaments every single time we go there. I mean, I think of all the playoffs we've had there in Memphis. From Will Zalatoris bouncing the ball off the rocks there on 11 and winning a playoff with a bogey 4 after he wedged it on the green, right?
Yep. Yeah, because then Sepp made a 5.
Yeah, and I've been called a playoff there where it was 3 wide and Abraham Anser hit an 8-iron to about 6 feet and birdied the 18th in the playoff. They've been 6 wide there before. No, actually, no, that was Wyndham.
Wyndham.
Yeah. It's a good venue, this, and it's a cool place for a great tournament with a fantastic sponsor.
I looked at that spot on 11, and Will was right not to hit that. To go back to the drop zone. Just had to see it for myself a couple years later, but yeah, definitely the right play, and of course makes par and wins it. Mina, I have no idea what this grid looks like. Just drop it on us. I cannot even remember what a single one of our picks were.
My odds were bad.
I'm sure we had, I was going to say Scotty Scheffler. Okay, so Scotty Scheffler did not win the golf tournament. Russell Henley did not win. He had a good week. He finished T15, T17, something like that. Ricky Fowler. Okay, Mark, this was my favorite one of yours. So you had Ricky Fowler, top 20, plus 200, which I thought was sharp for a couple of reasons. So not only has Ricky played great and was excellent this week, but that was basically the number he needed to advance. I think the minimum he needed was like T17, two-way tie for T17 or something like that. So there was, even if he was not going to contend in this golf tournament, he had his eye on the number that you bet him on, which I thought was smart.
It turns out, if you were watching the coverage, that he sort of almost had to get inside the top 10 or 12 to ice that position.
I didn't notice that.
Well, anyway, I mean, yeah, but you know what it boils down to? You'll hear golfers of this ilk more often than not go, I'm close. I'm really close. But then the scores won't show it and the numbers won't show it, but they just know. The swing feels free. It's unencumbered. The ball's launching in the window they want. It's fading when they need it to fade. It's drawing. And they're like, okay, it's there. I'm playing well. I'm just not making putts, or I'm getting one or two bad bounces. And since the Memorial this year, every time I've seen Ricky, I've been like, this guy is swinging as well as I've seen him swing in a long, long time. And on the show, I was like, I'm saying, come on, Ricky, not just top 50. Let's take this thing to Atlanta right now. And he did himself a big favor. And who knows? The way he's playing, I wouldn't be surprised next week if he continues to good play.
No more sponsors invites in signature events for Ricky Fowler. He's not going to need them. He'll be earning it himself. So he moves up 64 spots. Mina, you can remove all those X's. Don't worry about it. 60.
She's just shaming us.
I know, just get it off the screen. He goes from 64 to 48. He is in, despite Chris Kirk's very good week. Started 61st, finishes 51st. He is out. So the first 5 out: Chris Kirk, Aldrich Potgieter, Aaron Rye, Jordan Spieth, Jake Knapp. The last 5 in, Mark: Bud Cauley, Tom Hoagie, Ricky Fowler, Johnny Vegas, and JT Post.
Yeah, and Kirk was playing alongside Ricky, and Chris was in for a bit, and then had a bad finish. And it just once again proves that if you play the final 3 holes of every round well, you're going to leapfrog a bunch of folks. Now, maybe not on the PGA Tour, but Chris sort of stumbled on his way in a little bit. I know he didn't birdie 16. So, yeah, that was costly and sad to see because he's playing pretty well too. But I want to address this real fast because I want your take. Because on the show on Tuesday, Greg was like, I'm thinking of Jordan Spieth as a potential Ryder Cupper. Remember that conversation?
I do.
And I was like, I think you're losing your mind. But anyway, I'm listening to you. And there's questions here about Spieth. I watched him play because there was coverage on live early this morning. He just never looked like he found any sort of traction. And every shot he hits, just look, I know it's always kind of like antsy with Jordan, but like if I watch, even Scotty doesn't make it look like pretty, but he looks like he's in control. Jordan just does it. It looks like there's a constant search on the go to me, and I cannot quantify it. So I'd love your take.
I thought the take from Greg on Tuesday was generous at best. I understand what Jordan Spieth has done for the American squad. I understand that, you can do a lot of fun things with him, but you're right. He is out of control. And he hit some of the worst shots I have seen hit in a long time. I mean, we on 14 every day when he came through, when I was standing there, I mean, he was wiping them in places that nobody was in. Every time I saw a shot from him, he was hitting it into the water and taking a drop. The statistics from this week do not look very good. It was a very troublesome week, not only on the stat sheet, but also with the eye test. He's not finding this. He's not hitting it solid. It's ugly.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because he's such a great guy and he's so good for the game. And if you go out there, the fans love him. I mean, they truly do. And I hope he finds it because when Jordan is a part of the storyline, there's a different buzz at the tournament. Mm-hmm. But to wake up on a Sunday morning / Saturday morning and watch Jordan in one of the early groups, the only people that are loving that are the producers at PGA Tour Live because they've got a name they can show in a feature group. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah, they got featured groups of, it was like Jordan
Yeah.
Spieth and whoever the hell
Right.
else. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Whoever the hell else it is.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, Mark. So last thing before we get out of here. So I was behind 18 green when everything wrapped up. I got out of there pretty quick because we had to go film one more thing, and I ran out of there. They hadn't done the trophy presentation yet. And as I was walking out, somebody yelled, "Love the Second Cut podcast." And I turned around, I gave him a wave, and I just wanted to relay that message. There was a lot of good sentiment from everybody in Southwind about the show, and I met a couple of fans that said, "Okay, our goal is to see Rick at this event, and then when we get to CBS events, I got to make sure I see Mark." So it was very cool, well supported out there for us.
I'm glad to hear that. Now I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm testing your insights. So when you were standing behind 18 green, I need you to tell me that I'm not the only one. When I watch those St. Jude kids, I stand behind the green and I have tears in my eyes watching them.
Those kids are the bravest kids in the world. I think that St. Jude is, if you have $1 to spare, there is no better place in the world to send it than St. Jude. That community, Mark, they love those kids. They love that hospital. They love everything. It is in a world that is mostly bad news. It is very special to see what's going on out of there, and I'm glad that they get the recognition that they deserve.
I'm glad you would say that. Well done.
Yeah. Cheers. We're going to be back at it again. Caves Valley next week. We're going to go from 50 to 30. We'll close this thing up for the season in Atlanta, but lots of work to do. We'll be back on Tuesday to break it all down. Producer Mina, she does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there. It's Mark Immelman. I'm Rick Gehman. This is The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.